Good morning, and welcome to Sunday Soul Day, weekly fuel for your mind, body, and soul. Today we have Bianca B. King, an entrepreneurial powerhouse and powerful matchmaking dedicated to empowering women to achieve their dreams. As the CEO and founder of Pretty Damn Ambitious, Bianca connects high-achieving women with top-notch coaches that fuel their personal growth and professional success. With over 20 years of marketing experience and an MBA in e-commerce marketing, she is not just talking the talk, but she's walking the walk. She has a boutique marketing agency, 7573 Marketing Group, and I'm so excited for you guys to meet her. Welcome to Sunday Soul Day, Bianca.
Thank you so much for having me, Demisha and Allie.
We are so excited to have you. And good morning, Allie. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Good morning, Demisha, and good morning, Bianca.
Well, I am thrilled to chat with Bianca and have you guys just learn a little bit more about her. I actually met Bianca through Arlen Hamilton. We were both in, or still in, her AAA community. And if you are a buzzing entrepreneur and looking for advice and looking to just be in a community of just incredible people at all different levels of their entrepreneur journey, definitely check out her community, as well as Bianca's. She has incredible coaches who are on their journey doing extraordinary things. So definitely check that out, but we'll be sharing a little bit more about that. But I got closer with Bianca when she and I hopped on a call and just started talking, and she invited me to join her Pretty Damn Ambitious community. I was just so thrilled to join and couldn't wait. And she actually let me get started before I even earn my coaching certification. So I was so grateful because, and I have to just shout her out because she just saw me and she really shined a light on what I was doing and just really kind of helped move me along. You know, one of the things I prayed for as I started this journey was destiny helpers. And I consider Bianca one of those. So thank you so much, Bianca.
Oh, thank you for that amazing intro. Yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure. You may have not had your certificate, right, or your certification, but you've obviously been mentoring and helping people all your life. And, you know, just from our conversations, that's something that I could easily tell. And I knew that people could learn from you, especially women in our community. So it was an absolute no-brainer. I mean, it was an honor for me for you to accept, honestly.
Oh, goodness. Thank you so much. Well, I wanted to just talk to our audience a little bit and have them learn about your journey because you have such an extraordinary journey. I mean, starting off with in your earlier years, dealing with a lot of trauma, grief and loss of your mother, but also just taking a lot of that pain and trauma early on and turning it into your purpose and letting it really motivate you. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's like where to start. So when I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and I left home at the age of 13, basically escaping abuse. And it was liberating in the sense of I was no longer in that type of environment, but it was also very scary because now I no longer had like a parent. And lived with my sister for about 2.5 years in Junction City, Kansas. I slept on her couch, was very excited and happy to be there with my older sister and my two nephews. And it was just a journey of just, you know, trying to understand the best way to, you know, live my little young life and to be okay with, you know, some of the things that had happened to me. It took me a while to reconcile all of that. And that's part of, I think, that trauma that came after my mother passed away. My mother, you know, fast forward 14 years, my mother passed away when I was 27. And part of the reason why, and I don't share this very often, but part of the reason why I had so many issues around that was because I kind of felt relieved that my mother passed away. My mother was a diagnosed schizophrenic. She was alcoholic. So there was just a lot of things that went on during that time that when she was gone, it was like, I no longer have to worry about that. She no longer has to be in pain and suffering the way she was. And I felt like not having the quote unquote normal response was wrong. And so it like sent me into this almost like a depression, right? And just like something's wrong with me. Why am I relieved that my mother's dead? You know?
Thank you so much for sharing. And I know you and I had talked, so I wasn't for sure if you were comfortable kind of sharing
Yeah.
that. So thank you so much. I know you'll help a lot of people in sharing that. And, we had a lovely woman on who runs a grief community. And, it's the one thing that really knows no colored lines, no sexual orientation, no different religions. Like everyone experiences grief and loss, and so I really appreciate your vulnerability around sharing, just how you kind of felt like something was wrong with you, but yet you felt relieved,
Yeah.
and I think when people experience what you've experienced, we don't need to go into the details, but it's that double-edged sword, so
Indeed.
really
Indeed.
appreciate you sharing.
Yeah. It gave me a chance to, finally get the therapy that I needed to kind of just deal with all of the baggage and trauma from my childhood that I hadn't really dealt with. And then obviously as an adult, just, growing into all those different things and then, dealing with my mother's death. So it was almost a blessing in disguise, which, I don't feel like it happened to me. It happened for me is kind of how I feel. Because I wouldn't be where I am today if, some of those things didn't transpire in the way that they did.
Yeah, thank you, Bianca, for sharing that with us around your experience as well as complicated grief in general. I've had so many clients that feel ashamed or embarrassed to explain that they don't just feel sadness
Right.
when a person in their life who they had a complicated relationship with has passed, hence the name complicated grief. So
Indeed.
thank you. So this is a really quick transition, but I want to jump right into your work with corporate and marketing. So you've held some prominent roles while working in the corporate setting. Quickly take us through some of the companies and positions you held before betting on yourself.
Yeah. So I landed in commercial real estate. I think I was 20 or 21. My first job was a floater, which essentially was like an administrative assistant slash um, gosh, what's the person at the front? Receptionist. And I learned so much during that time. Just, I worked at this regional real estate company called Weitzman Group here in Dallas. And I learned so much about commercial real estate, just floating through all the different chairs, industrial, commercial, so forth. And I was kind of hooked. And the HR person within that organization said, well, you know what, there's this other company just looking for like a really strong executive assistant. I think you'd be perfect for it. So I, went ahead and applied for that job and got it. I was nervous as hell. But from there, I was just like, okay, this is amazing. I really like commercial real estate. I'm going to basically just kind of climb this corporate ladder. So I went from executive assistant to financial analyst to brokerage associate. And that was probably within the span of about, I think 8 to 9 years. And I absolutely loved my, commercial real estate career in the sense of I worked with this amazing woman and mentor who ran our team, Andrea Peskin Katz. Shout out to you. She saw me. She literally saw me, and she always made sure that I could see beyond my current circumstances, right? And made sure that I always had any and every advantage I could in order to kind of climb that corporate ladder. So yeah. I'm not sure if there's more that you need there.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing with us.
Yeah.
Well, Bianca, I wanted to know, because as you climb the corporate ladder, what made you transition into betting on yourself and starting your own marketing agency?
Yeah. That's where I was going. So, even though I did like my commercial real estate career, there was just a lot of drama within that scope of things. Like with most corporate, very male dominated, very white male dominated. Some people were taking credit for my work. It was just a lot that was going on there, and we were the time I decided to leave was around 2006, 2007. So I worked in the financial services or investment services side of commercial real estate. So essentially, we sold multi-million dollar assets, office buildings, so forth and so on. And we were starting to see that the market was changing. It was just really strange. And around that time, my mentor, Andrea, decided to retire at the age of 40. And I was, happy for her. But at the same time, I'm like, what are we going to do? Because she was like truly the leader of our team. And from there, I was just like, okay, now what do I do? And my husband was like, well, you know, you don't really have to work. He's an accountant, you know, just come home and just be my wife. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not a lady who lunches. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love philanthropy, but not to that degree. And so I was like, well, what can I do? So I was like, let me take my MBA, which is in e-commerce marketing, as well as all of this amazing experience I have from commercial real estate, leveraging these assets in order to sell them and put them into a business. And then that's essentially how 7573 Marketing was born. And that was May of 2008, right during the Great Recession.
Oh my goodness. That's so amazing. And tell me a little bit about how you started, because I was so fascinated when you told me that you started your business with, what was it, like $700, purchasing a new laptop and a round trip plane ticket. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. Yeah. So, you know, I tendered my resignation. I was like, now what do I do? And it was like, I had like, you know, a couple of weeks, I think it was like in April when I tendered my resignation. And then um, I had, you know, I basically had all these relationships from commercial real estate. And this one lady that I knew, she was like, hey, you know, we actually need some help with marketing. Do you mind coming to see us in Austin? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I was like, oh, I need a new laptop. So I took $700, got a new laptop and got a plane ticket, round trip plane ticket to Austin, and went down and closed the deal. It was like, it was amazing. I was like, wow, it felt so easy. I was like, this is how you entrepreneur. I got a 5-figure contract and just, you know, was rolling and just felt like everything was great. And then of course, like it was like crickets after that.
Oh my gosh, but still so inspiring, because I know so many people, myself included, when I took the plunge, I, didn't have a massive plan. I just felt the energy of doing it. And I like, similar to you, I was like, I just went forth,
Yeah.
And so I love that you did that. And really it's really betting on yourself, and believing enough in yourself and your own abilities to
Yeah.
just try it, so I love that you did that.
Yeah, I also think I was a little naive. I was, and that's okay. I think that's the spirit of entrepreneurship, right? You have to have
Aren't we
be a
all?
little
Aren't we all?
delusional. Yeah, I gotta be, bend reality, all those things. And, at the same time, I am just so glad and happy that I did that I did bet on myself. And that's something my husband and I always talk about. It's like, would we have experienced this if we were still in corporate or if we were still in corporate, right? I mean, I've like, been on trips and just it's a lot that having my own agency has really helped me experience, like in just so many myriad ways.
Yeah. You're so courageous, determined, and ambitious. It's so inspiring to hear just taking that leap. And I know you say a little bit naive, but I think that works to our advantage, right? And helps us to just go for it. So,
Right.
yeah, speaking of ambitious, what is pretty damn ambitious and what inspired you to begin this community of women?
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning. So obviously, I had my marketing agency and, just like everyone around the pandemic, I kind of had that existential crisis, like what am I doing with my life? And just having this conversation with my husband, where were we in 2019 and the type of people we were in 2019. And I was telling him, I'm like, you know what? I was probably on the edge of burnout. I was traveling a lot for my business. It was a lot going on and wonderful things. But looking back, it's like, I know COVID was like the most horrible thing, but it was that pattern disruption that really helped me kind of put my life back and refocus about, where do I want to go? Like, okay, you've been doing this for 14 years, right? Now, where do you want to go? Or 13 years, whatever it was at that point. And so during that time, I decided to, take some more coaching. That's something that I always do. I was reading Arlen Hamilton's book. Shout out to Arlen. It's About Damn Time, her first book. And I was like, how could I work with these badass women coaches? I'm not a coach, but how could I work with, these badass women coaches? And I was like, well, how do you go about finding a coach? Most of us only find coaches through referrals and so forth. And sometimes they just don't work out. Been there, done that, where, I've had a coach and, they basically kind of wanted me to deny that I was a Black person. It's like, no, it's part of my identity. So that's not going to work for me. And so I was like, how can we find vetted and verified coaches, or how can I find coaches and vet and verify them, right? And then match them with women who need these type of services. And essentially, that's how Pretty Damn Ambitious was born. I was like, I really think that this could be something very special and amazing and just really help people. Again, if you know me, I'm always about trying to figure out the best way that I can leave a person's situation in a better way. And I know how much mentorship and coaching has helped me over the years. And I really want women to understand like the power of coaching and being mentored by someone who can really see you makes all the difference in the world. And it literally will accelerate your success.
Yeah. And you and I talked about that. I did agency work and just felt the morale of people just kind of down. And being able to have a community of people that can coach and empower one another is just absolutely beautiful, inspiring, and it leads to great results.
Indeed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, your community has attracted just incredible coaches. And it's a kind of a two-part question, but wanted to know first and foremost, how do you pick your coaches? And then second, share a little bit more about, the curated content and all the just, different events that you have as well. Like share a little bit more about the community so people who are interested in joining, they know what they're getting.
Right. So the first inaugural Pretty Damn Ambitious coaches, I kind of hand selected. I will, for lack of better word, cyber stalk people. I'll look at their LinkedIn, I'll look at their, all their socials and just see if they really are the person who they say they are, right? If it's, all congruent across all platforms. And then I'll obviously have, conversations with them. And then also too, I've been either coached or mentored by some of the coaches in Pretty Damn Ambitious as well. So I knew that these women were going to be just absolutely fantastic just to begin with. And then, people like you, where I've just gotten to know them and we've had multiple conversations. And it's like, well, yeah, it's obvious for me to invite you into this platform to, so you can, help other women grow just the way you have, right? And share your experiences. Within the community. So yes, we curate different areas. So we have one area called Show Me the Money, where we talk about all things finance, right? Really trying to help women understand that one, just like ambition, I know money is a loaded word, but we need to be talking about money, speaking about money, right? We outlive our partners if we're in a if we're in a heterosexual relationship typically by 10 to 15, sometimes even 20 years. And we need to make sure that we have the finances and all of that goes with that, as we're growing our businesses or growing our careers, right? And we also, as with money, you need to be teaching your children, if you have children, about money, right? So it's kind of this, generational thing that we need to be doing. So that's one aspect of what we do. We also have C-suite university, again, trying to help you understand if you want to go to the C-suite, or if you are a business owner, the things and tactics that you need to do in order to make sure that you're successful within there. There's quite a few little areas that we have, as you know, Demisha. But as far as like speakers, so I really just try to make sure that we are really honing in on the needs of our women members. So again, going back to finance, going back to holistic care, how are you taking care of yourself? Self-care, talking about imposter syndrome. We probably had at least 3 events on imposter syndrome alone. Just again, my goal is to not only help you accelerate your success, because to me, success can be beyond your career. Your success can be if you're just but if you're stay-at-home mom, like being the best mom that you can be. So I'm really thinking about it in a 360 holistic way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can attest to that. I mean, it really touches on all areas of the wheel of life, where I've discovered in a lot of communities that I'm in, they touch on or hone in on one specific area. Like I'm in a spiritual community, and although we touch on, most areas, but not all the areas of the wheel of life. And so, or circle of life is what some like to call it. So I really love that about the community, as well as just the rich content that comes out. I mean, the coaches are contributing, you're contributing all the time. She has just this massive book list of, different books you can read, as well as the thing that I really loved and has helped me tremendously is focusing in on the finance, and I think a lot of times women, we're not even comfortable talking about it. I mean, we like asking for raises, you know, like, I mean,
Oh my
just
God.
all the things, all the conversations we've had around, you know, money has really helped me change my relationship with money, you know, because before I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't really care about it as much, you know, but you
Yeah.
become an entrepreneur and you start caring very much about every single dollar. So
Exactly. Yeah. And
yeah,
again, you know, we need to remember it's just a tool. Like
yeah.
it's a tool, just like anything else that we use. You know, our car is essentially a tool, right?
Absolutely.
So it's really about where you want, how do you want to leverage that tool, money, right? And I know there's so much emotional baggage with it. And that's something I'm trying to help our women dispel. And I still have emotional baggage around money, you know. But the more that we talk about it and the more that we understand, like we're not alone in this thinking, the better we can dispel some of those myths and really learn and grow together.
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said.
I just love the emphasis on self-love, self-care, empowerment, and looking out for ourselves. Just the information you gave about our partners and needing to take care of ourselves. It's really important to remember that. So you
Yeah.
touched a little bit on this, but I would like to know a little more about how you encourage women to embrace their ambitions while prioritizing their well-being and personal fulfillment.
So first off, ambition is not a dirty word. You know, ambition is just a dressed up word for your desire to succeed. And part of what I'm also trying to do at Pretty Damn Ambitious is to help women redefine ambition on their terms. So I wrote an article for Fast Company last year, and essentially it was about redefining ambition. So my new definition for ambition is the joyful, diligent pursuit of success informed by your ideals. So that leaves room for everything. That leaves room for your self care. That leaves room for your entrepreneurial endeavors, business, whatever you want to do. And I really want to make sure that you can't be ambitious if you're not taking care of yourself, right? Because essentially you're going to burn yourself out, right? So self care is baked in and joy is baked into that new definition, right? Really making sure that you understand that you're not looking at this through just one lens. This is holistic, right? You can be ambitious about like I said before, being a really great mother. You can be ambitious about planting trees. You know, you can be ambitious about leveling up to the C-suite. Whatever you want to be ambitious about, just make sure that you are thinking about, you know, your overall care, mental, physical, all of it. It all has to count because otherwise your ambition isn't going to work.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up. I can so relate to that as a therapist during the pandemic. I was so ambitious and trying to help as many people as possible. And at the same time, not doing as much self-care, not connecting in the community, and experienced tremendous burnout. And
Mm,
since then, I have been very diligent about making sure that I prioritize my ambition while taking care of myself. I don't always get it right, but I'm trying to have that balance because I've seen what could happen and I see what also happens when I take care of myself. I do much
indeed.
better work and the community is served. So
Yeah, yeah. And everyone is better served when you take care of yourself. You know, they don't say, you know, when you're flying to put the oxygen mask on yourself for, you know, not for a reason. They say it on purpose because once you're able to understand and know how you're feeling and that you're surviving and that you're doing really well, then you have all the capacity to help others. And as you know, most women, we're nurturers and we really want to, you know, give back in some way. And so with that, we have to remember to nurture ourselves the way we would possibly nurture some other people. And if we do that first, then we can give even more.
Absolutely. I believe that self-care plus self-love and really fueling yourself up in whatever way that you need, because we all need to be fueled up in different ways, right? And in different
Indeed.
moments, it really equates to being self-full, rather than being selfish, which a lot of women feel, you know, they have that like, oh, I'm giving too much to myself, and then they're worried about not giving enough to everyone else. But in order
Yeah.
for you to pour into anyone, you have to pour into yourself first. So I love that your
Yeah.
community always
Yeah.
reminds us of that.
Gosh, I wish more women would truly understand like it is not being selfish. Like you are a person and you deserve care. And who's going to give you the best care? Yourself. And if you're expecting other people to give it to you, how if you're not giving it to yourself? Because you're explaining, you're you know, giving the example of how you want to be treated by the way you treat yourself. So I think if you can truly kind of grasp that and understand like it's not being selfish, It's really about really making sure that you're taking care of your well-being so you can, if you want to take care of others. Some people don't, but it's all good.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I think a lot of times women always look for permission,
Oh,
to take care
don't
of
get me
themselves.
started.
And it's like, and that's the, you have to give it to yourself, what I've noticed, people who are very good at it, they don't wait for permission. They just take care of themselves. And I would say like men are better at it, they're better at like, taking care of their hobbies or going to do the things that they love to do. And I think women, we have to kind of like relearn that, we have to train that muscle. And so we had a woman on recently who was the author of A Beautiful Morning, and her book just really inspired me to pour into myself, like especially as a new mother. And I think what happens, especially when you have kids, or even if you're ambitious and an entrepreneur and you're just like grinding, you put yourself last, and you really have, everything starts and ends with you. So you have to start with yourself. So I could not agree more. Well, one thing I wanted to touch on that I thought was so beautiful when I joined your community is just how diverse it was. And I know PDA, really emphasizes the importance of diversity and inclusion and leadership. How do you ensure that the community fosters a supportive, inclusive environment for women from all diverse backgrounds?
Oh, that's a really great question. I don't know. It's just baked in. Honestly, I feel like if I'm doing the work that I feel God has led me to do, then it's already baked in. Like it to me, it makes sense for us to be diverse and for us to all be able to share our experiences and learn from one another, right? And don't get me wrong, when I first started thinking about building Pretty Damn Ambitious, I did think about just making it exclusively for Black women, not even just women of color, but just only for Black women. And it felt just too constrained. It felt too limited. And I was like, I think God's calling me to do something bigger. So from my perspective, it's just, it's baked in. And again, I think that's what DEI should be. It shouldn't be DEI. It should already be baked into the culture and as you build the business. So I guess that's why we're diverse the way we are.
No, I could not agree more. And I think a lot of times it starts with you. And how your community and how diverse your community is. A lot of times I feel where companies get it wrong, and I've spent the majority of my career in a people leader role. I think a lot of companies get it wrong when they want to talk about it but not be about it. And they want to write, DEI all over the place, but they're not eating that within their own lives. It's like, well, how many, Hispanic friends do you have? How many, Black friends do you have? How many, so it really starts and ends with you, and like in you opening yourself up, and I think you've done a really great job, not to answer for you or put words in your mouth, but I think you've done a great job with opening yourself up to all sorts of communities, which is why you attract that kind of community, which really allows it to be diverse.
I guess you're right. I mean, I always feel like if I can connect with you on some level, whether it's just like, we like the same lipstick color, or, you just talked about a book that you read and it's something that I've read or something I'm interested in. I don't care what you look like, so that's like, for me, it makes sense, because any one system that's homogenous will never actually thrive. You need diversity to thrive. And that's like from, microscopic, beings, not beings, but like, viruses, all the way up to us. Like everything needs diversity in order to thrive. So
especially corporations, it's like when you think about your customer is not one person. It's a diverse community of, a plethora of different people. So it's like your organizations, your communities, they need to reflect that, if that's who you're trying to attract. So.
Indeed. Yeah.
As someone with over 20 years of marketing experience and an MBA in e-commerce marketing, how do you leverage your expertise to empower women in your community to excel professionally?
Oh, wow. That's a it's a great question. I don't that again, I just show up. I mean, I don't think there's anything secret or special about what I do. I just show up and see if you need help. If you don't need help, how can I support you? How can I cheer you on? How can I make sure that you understand that you are absolutely amazing in this moment? Yeah, I'm not sure if I really leverage my marketing expertise or any of that. And maybe I do, I don't know. But from my perspective, it's just about how can I really connect with the woman in my community or the women in my community and just make sure that they're doing okay, mind, body, and soul.
Bianca, I know you help so many entrepreneurs, but to our audience, that are aspiring, maybe female entrepreneurs or leaders, navigating kind of their own path, what what advice would you give to them, like working in kind of these male-dominated industries?
Yeah. First off, I would be find yourself a mentor or a coach. That's going to be key. World sponsors, people who can kind of speak up for you, the people who can speak up for you when you're not in the room. I didn't even understand that term until like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I had sponsors I didn't even realize when I was in my corporate career. And, word would get back to me and I'd be like, oh, they said that, it was a wonderful thing. And I really think that is what helped propel me and, help me, climb that corporate ladder. Right. So I think making sure that obviously you're showing up as your authentic self, which I know can be really hard, especially for women of color. We have to code switch sometimes and we have to just, feel like we have to put ourself outside the door and then bring our work self in. But you can show up as you really can. And if you can't, then you really need to find another company to work for. It's as simple as that, or start your own thing.
Oh my goodness. I love that advice. And I could not agree more about really, reaching out and finding a coach. I know that has served me throughout my entire career. Like in a lot of the startups that I worked in, I was the leader of that particular department. And so there wasn't really anyone above me that I could go to. So a lot of times I seek mentors and coaches outside of the organization
Yes.
that was able to just help me navigate, like help me with my blind spots, help me with just things I didn't know. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. So it's so great, that you mentioned that also served you throughout your career and the advice that you would give someone. I love that.
Yeah, like you said, we don't know what we don't know, right? And we're so busy toiling in our job, right? And just, trying to make sure we're doing the best job that we can. And sometimes, as women, we just keep our heads down and we just work and don't expect just to get the promotion because you're working. Like there's all of the, unfortunately, corporate, things that you have to do in order to, help yourself succeed. And part of that is, obviously networking, finding your sponsor, and then that mentor will really help you understand where you want to go and then how to, do those different things in order to achieve it. So it's absolutely important and crucial, I believe, especially in this day and age, for you to have those things in place if you're in corporate.
It's just so good, Bianca. The allies, the sponsors, the coaches, all of that. Like
Yes.
you literally just described me when I was working in tech, where my head was just down and I just did the work. And a lot of times I think where women, especially, I know I'm guilty of this, made the mistake is I just always believe like, oh, people see what I'm doing. They understand, they know the impact. They're going to pay me for it, and they don't. So, and they're not even a lot of times even appreciative of the work that you do, so it's so important. Like we just had Geneva Wint on, and we're chatting with her. She's going to air this coming week, but we were chatting with her about that as well, and just the importance of making sure your work is seen, and getting those allies and sponsors, or they help with that. So
really and it can be hard, especially, if you have imposter syndrome or you're suffering from, lack of self-confidence. And those are two different things, by the way. But you've got to figure out a way to do it. And even if you can't figure out a way, like, you yourself, you have to have those allies, those sponsors, those mentors in order to just really kind of push you out there and promote you. Yeah.
And I think it really helps those who are listening and are doing life, not even their work, but life on their own, to know that we need to do life in community. We are social beings. We are made to do
Yes.
life together. And the way you structure your life and your work to set yourself up for success and to set the other people up for success, those listening are going to be really, I'm hoping, inspired by the idea of setting ourselves up to have a community of support.
Yeah. I mean, we are not singular beings. Most of us are born by ourselves. We're not twins or triplets or anything, but we are supposed to be surrounded by people and in community. And I know when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I was like, oh, I can just do it alone, and, kind of fell flat on my face and quickly understood, no, I can't do it alone. And, during that time when, we were going through the recession and I couldn't find, any jobs, I started this other community called Successful Southern Sisters. And I would essentially interview women of color and Black women, and promote them via my blog and so forth. And that that helped so much with my work, and just making me feel less lonely as an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, no, thank you. So, in addition to your entrepreneurial ventures, you're also involved in various nonprofit organizations and serve as a content contributor for leading publications. How do you balance your professional responsibilities with your philanthropic endeavors?
Yeah, so giving back is like second nature to me. I come from massively humble beginnings. Food pantries, Salvation Army, you name it, like that. They helped us, make it through. So it doesn't really feel like it's something I'm doing. It's just a part of me, and that it's always going to be there. Like my goal is to end up being like this, just philanthropist, billionaire philanthropist, like Tony Stark, right? So I really think that I'm not sure where to go with that. I really just think that that's part of just who I am. Like, I don't see things as balance. Like, I integrate things into my life that are important to me, so my self-care is important to me. So I integrate that into my life. Like this morning, I spent 3 hours, from 6 to 9, just doing me, right? Not meditating, praying, visualizing, all that. And I know that some people don't have the luxury of that time, but you can make the time for it. And then same thing with philanthropy. It's like it's just part of me, and I really believe in what these organizations are doing. Texas Wall Street Women is one that I'm currently working with, and essentially it's kind of helping women in finance and stay in finance and creating a community around that. And then with that, we also, because we are a nonprofit, we give our profits to the Young Women's Preparatory Network, which is a network of 11 schools across the state of Texas that serve underprivileged girls or underserved girls here in Texas, to help them with their college education, and for them to, or college prep education, for them to get into like these amazing universities. And we just got this amazing note back from a 2014 grad. I'm getting goosebumps. And she's now a lawyer, and her parents, didn't speak English. Like it was tremendous. It's tremendous. So I love being able to give back in those meaningful ways, and we're grooming the next generation of women.
Yeah, I love how you do for yourself and you do for the community. And you treat both like they are a job, because they're making money, but one is not going to you.
Yeah,
And just what that does for ourselves, what that does for other people. I just think it's so amazing when you can, to have something that gives us purpose, both for, ourself and our well-being, but for the greater good.
indeed, indeed. Like, that one, YWP and Texas Wall Street Women, it's like so near and dear to me, because that was one thing that my mother always instilled in us. Like, we might have lived like adjacent in the hood, but we were going to the best schools, right? We're going to the top-notch schools. So education has always been something that's always been very important to me. And being able to give back to an organization like that, as well as, help women in finance. Because again, it's a male-dominated industry. It's lonely. It all made sense to me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to help them.
I love it. Well, I imagine that fuels you up, and you mentioned the 3 hours that you took today. I'm so jealous. I won 3 hours before. That would be amazing. Oh my gosh. I was just dreaming as you were talking about the 3 hours. But tell me, how do you take care of yourself like within that time? Like you mentioned kind of prayer and meditation. What are some other things that you do to fuel your mind, body, and soul?
Yeah. During those times, like that's kind of like my Monday through Friday routine, if you will. It's just me time. It's like whatever I kind of want to do. At first I was very kind of rigorous about it. It's like I need to do X, Y, and Z. But now it's more of like free flowing time. So I'll exercise, I'll pray, I'll meditate. Sometimes I'll just read, and sometimes I'll just scroll on social media, joy scroll, right? Not doom scroll. It just depends on how I'm feeling in the moment. But most of the time I am meditating, I am doing affirmations, and then the other just kind of comes. And sometimes I even fold laundry. It just depends on, how I'm feeling about that day. But from my perspective, when I'm folding laundry, I'm typically listening to a book, or I'm listening to a podcast or something. So it feels still like it's me time. And I feel like the more that I'm able to really kind of give myself that time, the better that I can show up for everyone, including myself.
No, absolutely. And it sounds like you do your self-care like I do, which is I have a grab bag of different, items that fuel my mind, body, and soul. And at any given day, I'm going to pull from it, and it's going to look different, probably daily, because as I was sharing on one of the episodes, I'm a walking contradiction because I love change, but then I also am a creature of habit and love routine. So having that kind of grab bag of different self-care is really helpful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, externally, nails, massages, all that. I love the spa. I'm trying to figure out a spa day here in March right now. So
Gosh,
yeah,
invite
just
me.
yes, yeah. I mean, that's why we're kindred spirits, right? Yeah, just whatever that makes me feel good. Like I really do try to do it, if that makes sense. And I know it again, it could sound like so selfish, and here I am thinking about people judging me, but it really does make a difference in your life. Like you need to feel joy. And if you feel joy, then you can give joy, and then it's reciprocated back to you. Like it's this beautiful symbiotic relationship, but it all starts with you. And if you're walking around feeling crappy and not feeling worthy and all of that, like you've got to fix that. You've got to figure out a way to, really be okay with who you are and love yourself just as you are, and take time for yourself.
I couldn't agree more. So, all three of us are avid readers. Can you share a few life-changing books, podcasts, or resources that you would recommend to the audience?
Oh wow. Gosh, so many. um um it's about damn time, Arlen Hamilton. I mean, I how can I not mention that book? I mean, that's an awesome book. Let's see. You Are a Badass, Jen Sincero, can never say her name right. Amazing book. I go back to it all the time. Um, Goodness, what's it called? The Things I Know for Sure. It's by Oprah. I may not be saying the title right. And I know as the Black community, we don't like Oprah right now, but she has a lot of wisdom. Um, Podcast. I love Jay Shetty's podcast. I love the Huberman podcast, Rachel Rogers podcast. Yeah. And of course, Sunday Soul Day.
Those are incredible books and podcasts that you mentioned. I love all of them. I've read all of them, and it's so interesting. Oprah does have a lot of wisdom, and is experiencing a lot of hate right now. But I will say that book is so phenomenal. I read it every year. I didn't read it this year, but previous years I've read it every year since it came out, and it's just such a
Yeah.
great reminder. And some of those books are like that. Like you mentioned, You Are a Badass. That's Allie
Mhm.
just read that one, so I'm sure she'll chat about that. But yeah, love all of those.
Yeah. I feel like the books that I come back to, the ones I've read multiple times, three, four, five, six, are the ones that have touched me in such a profound way. But then as I step away from it and then I come back to it year over year, kind of like you're saying, I'm a different person. So now I'm seeing things in a different light, or it's more nuanced, or maybe I'm receiving something I didn't hear. So yeah, those books are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and I absolutely love You Are a Badass. And I'm listening to You Are a Badass with Money. And
Yes, that's a good one
you
too.
touched on money and the relationship with money. And it's just helps you to look at money like a friend and what we say about money and to have that relationship shift.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the You Are a Badass, that shift in the relationship with the self.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, and Happy Money by Ken Honda. That's another
Okay.
one. Like, goodness, if you have any money issues, read that book and just, keep it by your bedside because that's a fantastic book as well.
I feel like we could all talk about books for hours.
We should. Book club.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, what are your future plans and aspirations for Pretty Damn Ambitious? And do you have any upcoming events?
Yeah, so for Pretty Damn Ambitious, we are revamping a few things. We're about to go into our second full, well, I guess we are, no, we're going into our second full year. February 22nd will be our second year anniversary. So I'm revamping some things. I, surveyed my community, and there's some things that we need to do there. So I'm really excited about the new things that we're going to be bringing out and rolling out there. And then as far as Pretty Ambitious as well, we have a summit coming up in March 20th and 21st. The Level Up Summit is our second annual summit, and it is virtual. So I invite listeners to come on. And yeah, we're going to be talking about, how to embrace your personal power, understanding, that you have more influence than you think, and how to really grow our wealth. Because again, we're talking about, as women, we need money. And we need to understand our finances and be okay with talking about money with each other. And I'm really trying to embody that through the summit.
I'm a part of the summit, so if you want
Yes.
to see us both, please come and join. It's open
Yes.
for all, and we're so excited about it. Last year, I attended the summit, and it was just phenomenal. The lineup was incredible. This year's lineup is incredible. A lot of the coaches are there, so get familiar, come join us.
Yes.
Lots of amazing topics. Well, I just wanted to ask, like, where is the best place that people can find you? Like, if they want to join the community, where can they join? And then also, like, if they want to reach out to you and get in touch with you, where's the best place?
So prettydamnambitious.com. Right now, we are not accepting applications. You can join the wait list. We are going to kind of a different model this year. But we will absolutely reach out and talk to you once our enrollment is open again. Instagram, I'm at PD Ambitious because you can't do damn apparently on Facebook. And then you can also find me on LinkedIn. Just type Bianca B King with a B, and you'll find me there too.
Awesome. Well, I just love this conversation today. It has fueled me up. I'm already ready to go be ambitious as soon as we end the call. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom, your vulnerability today and sharing, and just really grateful that you said yes to be interviewed.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, Demisha. And I'm like, I can't believe we haven't met in person. So we will have to make that happen soon. And absolute pleasure to meet you as well. And, again, I'm always so honored when people ask me, it's like to speak or to be on their podcast. It's like, me. So it's been a great experience. And again, thank you for seeing me. And thank you for, giving me this platform to, talk about the things that are important to me.
Thank you so much, Bianca. I love your ambition and your humility.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, have an amazing Sunday. And please comment below. Bianca has dropped so many gems today. Any gem that you guys are taking away, leave it in the comments below. Or if you enjoyed one of the books that she shared so many, go ahead and leave that in the comment as well. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.